Hi, and welcome to the live today. My name is Nikki Akpairwa, and I am the founder of Diversity and Inclusion Coach, and I love the work that I do. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about what is your social impact. So, a lot of the times when we're really thinking about the work that we're doing in the world, we never really pause to think about what is the larger social impact that we're trying to have. And part of the work that I do is really around helping people to find what motivates and what drives them, especially teams, what motivates and drives teams and helps them to become more cohesive and to work better. A lot of the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion is really found in the details and in looking at how teams operate and function together and identifying some of those barriers. So in today's topic, when we talk about social impact, I want you to keep in consideration that really the work is around how do you find and develop what really matters for you. So before I even dive into everything, I wanted to share with you about my outstanding time that I had at the National Wellness Conference last week. It was simply amazing. I actually received the Circle of Leadership Award from the National Wellness Institute, which was a huge honor for me. And I want to share a little bit of the highlights of the conference just from my perspective and how that comes into line with social impact. So one of the keynote speakers was Ken Nwadike, who is the founder of the Free Hugs movement. And what's so impressive about the work that he does and the way that he does the things that he does is that he really wants to motivate people and is driven by social connection. So what I found really impressive about his work is that it too is about social impact, and it's also about justice, fairness, and equity, and getting people to listen to one another who have very different viewpoints. So as he was describing some of his trials and tribulations, hey, thanks for joining, Kima. But as he was describing some of his trials and tribulations when it came to growing up, living in a homeless shelter when he was in Seattle with his family, he talked about the strength of his family. And I was really motivated because I'm really close to my family. I have 3 siblings. I'm the oldest of 4. And it really matters to me that my family is well, my immediate family, of course, too. And so when he was talking about his family and how they stayed together and how they worked really hard, but how even when he went to school, he was sort of isolated and withdrawn, and it took one person to really bring him out, right? So sometimes it's not about having a whole organization or a whole group of people. One person can make a really, really strong impression. So this one person motivated Ken to actually start running track. He got good. He started to develop friendships and relationships because, again, we're social people and we like to be connected to others. And as he started to do this, he wanted to bring hope and inspiration back to the homeless shelter that he grew up in. And he went back and he told them, hey, I want to do a marathon. I want to shut down Hollywood Boulevard, I believe it was. So he called up the police and asked them how he could do that. They laughed him off the phone because it cost over $1 million to actually do something like this. And within 6 months, he had raised $1 million to shut down Hollywood Boulevard so that they could run a marathon. That was inspiring to me. Ken has a really large social impact, but what's really incredible about him is his humility and his ability to connect with people. A lot of the work that we do in diversity, equity, and inclusion is really about connecting. It's not so much about strategies and development of the perfect plans or outlining or even hiring the perfect person. The world is not made of perfect people, and each and every one of us has the opportunity to do diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So let me share a couple of other things about the conference that I really loved and about the work that I'm doing right now. So before I do that, I want to know, have you heard of the term social impact? What do you know about it? It's something that I started to learn about as I started to do the work of diversity and inclusion, and I just really found it really incredible. So let me share that with you right now. So social impact is defined in many ways, but this is the definition that I really like today, and it's by Frederick Bouchner. He says social impact at its most basic level is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Okay, so social impact at its most basic level is where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Isn't that incredible? I know a lot of the times we have a hard time finding our purpose and where we need to land, especially if we're career professionals. We're like, well, my purpose should be nursing, right? Or my purpose should be being a physician or being a mom or whatever that might be. But I think social impact is really about going deeper and finding out, is there a deeper connection inside of you that you want to relay to the rest of the world? So I have found my social impact, and I'd like to share with you a little bit about how my deep gladness and meets the world's deep hunger. So the work that I do is really around creating dialogue and helping people to have these creative conversations and often courageous conversations around the work of racial justice and equity. And I know the work is really hard because I take it home with me. I think about it. I do a lot of work around coping and mindfulness, and we can talk about that in another live. But that's where my deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger. And I wanted to share with you about an upcoming event that I'm going to be doing in November. I'm really super excited to do this. I'm actually doing an event with 2 other fabulous nurse coaches, and that's going to be on November 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern time, I should be clear, because they're actually Seattle-based nurses. And so we're going to be talking about a healing space, increasing your confidence with everyday conversations about race. Isn't that just exciting? I think so oftentimes we're looking at social media. We're inundated, especially in this political climate, with so much hate, antagonism, fear, anxiety. That unfortunately is what comes when you have leadership that's not trying to create psychological safety. And what I'm learning is if we help to make people more safe, like Ken is working to help people be more safe by offering free hugs to the world, then we are in position to actually create greater social impact. Okay. And so I love talking about this because it allows us to address oftentimes the fear, the shame, and the anxiety that we often feel when we're talking about commonplace issues of discrimination and harassment and moments where we know that things should not be happening the way that they should, but we want to do more. So I'm asking you now, what do you want your social impact to be? And is this course or is this opportunity in learning about a conversation about everyday conversations about race, is this an opportunity for you to strengthen your social impact? I certainly hope so. Let me share a little bit more about a healing space so that you can get a bit more of an understanding what it's really going to be about. So again, we're all board certified health and wellness coaches. Thanks. Chris and Megan, welcome to the live. I'm talking a little bit about what is your social impact. And what I'm sharing about is the conversation that I'm going to be having on November 12th around increasing your confidence with everyday conversation about race. I want people to get more comfortable with the things that make them uncomfortable, right? Because if we're going to survive, if we're going to heal in this political climate, then we're going to need to be able to have confidence. We're going to have to need to be resilient. And so no matter who you are or who you're speaking with, what I know is more and more race, class, equity, difference is showing up, inclusion is showing up in a number of spaces. And I want to invite you to become more self-aware so that you can become empowered, so that you can keep doing the great work that you're doing or learn how to do some greater work. So I'm inviting you to explore and learn with us in a very supportive and courageous way to build confidence in your ability to speak truth to power and create health equity and racial justice. And remember, social impact is not just about talking about it, right? It's not about tweeting. It's not about liking something on Facebook that says, oh, this seems like a nice thing to do, or even just supporting a cause by clicking a button. This actually takes a little bit more action. Sometimes we say, put your money where your mouth is. Sometimes I say, put your time where your mouth is, right? So it's really about where we spend our time that communicates how we wish to impact the world around us. So as individuals, you can make a positive social impact in many different ways, from a choice of your career to how you spend your vacation time, to how you even spend your time when you're talking with your family around the dinner table, around the events that are happening in the world today, right? You can find ways to become and create more social impact. Some folks want to be more active, right? And may want to boycott things or point out ways in which negative experiences are happening to different people in culture. There's so many different ways that you can find to plug in and to really create a stronger social impact. And I like the idea that I can do something today, right? That's what I'm all about. That can make a social impact for tomorrow. So I'm going to share the link with you for my conversation on race and creating these healing spaces. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to join so we can learn more together about how you can actually create more social impact in the community that you work in, where you live in, even where you may serve. So I'm going to drop the link in the comment section. Please feel free to tell me where you're listening from, what you want to learn, because I want to share in a way that is meaningful and intentional to you. I want to thank everybody for taking some time out of their amazingly busy day to listen to this live today. Take care, everyone. And please, if you learned something from this, share it with someone else. Have a wonderful, wonderful, happy Friday and a beautiful, beautiful weekend.